to, make people feel bad or try to charge them or, try to hustle them. I hate the hustle. I hate
Yeah.
the hustle of people. I don't like the hustling of our people. And I don't like when people, don't answer questions for people. They don't want to be honest. They don't want to give an honest assessment of what things really truly are. They don't want to tell them the truth because they're afraid that for some reason or another they're going to lose respect for them. So, that is what it is. But
Yeah.
I thank you so much for those kind words.
Sure.
Yes. Let's open up. Berakutet Yawad de Hamburak, de Baruk Yawad de Hamburak de la Alam Wayed, Baruk Ata Yawad Elahenu de Malek Halam, Asher Barakar Banu de Mikola Hamamayim, de Winatan de Yat Torato, E Baruk Ata Yawad, de Notena HaTorah, E de Baruk Ata Yawad de Elahenu de Malek Halam, Asher Natalenu, the Torah de Vimete Wekaye de Olam, the Natal de Batokinu. Borukatayawa, no Natena HaTorah. And what is that to say? That is to say, blessed are you, Yahweh, you are the blessed one. Blessed are you, Yahweh, for you're the blessed one for all eternity. Blessed are you, Yahweh, you are our Elohim. You're the king of the universe, and you have selected us from all the peoples. And you have given us your Torah. Blessed are you, Yahweh, for you're the giver of the Torah. And we bless you, Yahweh, for you are our Elohim. You're the king of the universe who gave us the Torah of truth and you've implanted eternal life within us. And we bless you, Yahweh, for you are the giver of the Torah. Hallelujah, Yahweh. Blessed be the Holy One of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And bless all of you who are here today. I say Baruch Atah, Baruch Atem to you. And I welcome you again to another, teaching through the Torah. Our Torah portion this week is going to be on a word or well, it's not a word, but they introduced it to us this week. It's called Wayeke. Okay, Wayekai, Wayekai, Wayekai. Okay, it's right here. It's in Genesis 47. All right, and this is where we're going to go. This week we're going to read this. You're going to read it for 7 days. Okay. 7 days of reading, okay? And each day you're going to take a little portion at a time. Why? Why a little bit? Because y'all want you to try to get something from it. We can't race through the Torah. You can't. I realize that now because we miss a lot of things because we're so eager to, change and want to make things right with the Holy One. And he admires that about us. He does. He admires our zeal and our passion and our consistency. He understands where we are in our life. This Torah portion is called He Lived. Okay. And he lived, and this is talking about Yaakov. Okay. So the focus it now has been taken away from, right here. McCates was talking about Yosef, and, talking about Pharaoh and talking about the 12, the other 11 brothers and all those different types of things. And here it talks about Yehuda and how, he came back to, Yosef and tried to make things right, took the leadership position. And then here we're talking about Yaakov now. We're back on Yaakov. Here it was Yaakov here, Wayeshev, and he dwelt right here. So we're going to find out about him dwelling in a certain place. And then he then turns around and he goes through all these different things. Okay. So what I want to give you an understanding about is that we're not trying to be religious anymore. We're not trying to be a group of people that, are trying to find a way to our creator through the means of ritualistic practice, by saying the right things at the right time, or, how often we pray, how many times do we pray? Do we pray 3 times, and, where was I when I prayed? Was my hands washed when I prayed? All these types of things. Not that those things are not important, but that's not really the focus. What I found in the Torah is that Yah is giving us history. This is what Yah is giving us. He's given us history, and he's telling us about the history of our family. And in particular, it shifted from, Abraham And then it went to a little, we get a little bit about Yitzchak. We get just a little taste about him, you know, who he married, how a wife was picked for him, and how he gave, you know, he had two sons, which one is Esau and the other one is Yaakov. And so then the story, you know, gives us a little bit about each one of them. But then everything shifts from Yaakov, and then it goes to the 12 tribes, which he always lets us know that they're called Yisrael. Okay. So Yisrael are the sons of of Yaakov. Okay. But the creator named Yaakov Yisrael. That's what he named him. So every time we hear about Yisrael, you know, we're hearing about Yaakov, and we're hearing about the 12 sons. Okay. So Yah's given us a clear picture of the development of this in particular family. As I've been stating, the family is really, they started off really nice with Abraham, and then Yitzchak was decent, you know, but we saw that he had favoritism towards his son. And then we just got a little bit of him. And then we see about their mothers and how they were operating. And now we get about Yaakov's life. We saw his life. His life wasn't an easy life. His life was very, very hard. It's very difficult for him. It started off literally difficult for him. In the womb, he was fighting for his position as the firstborn. That's why he was holding on to his brother's heel. And so I want to encourage all of us to understand what all this is about. You know, it's the development of a family. That's what this is about. And so it's going to tell us all the not so good things, you know, like, you know, Dinah, she was raped. You know, we know that about it. It tells us, and it means judgment. Her name means judgment. Okay. To be judged like her brother Don. So every one of these people have names, and their names have significance. Okay. So I want us to keep in mind that we're not trying to look at this like, okay, just the children of Israel. No, we have to study about their lives and how they were developed. Everybody goes through a development period. I mean, even for me, and I've been through so many different changes in my life. And now I'm at the point right now, I'm like, okay, so, you know, what was all this about? What is my life about? You know, I've had businesses, I was this, I was that, I did this, I was that. And at the end of the day, I'm where I'm at right now. And I'm in a very, what you would call vulnerable state. And I'm not where I thought I would be at this stage of my life. You know, I had no clue that, you know, certain things would happen to me. And I'm pretty sure that's the same thing that happened with him. Yaakov did not have any intention of having his daughter raped, his wife have his son sleep with one of his wives. Okay. He didn't probably expect the woman of his life to die, that he had to bury her on the side of a road when he was, you know, bringing his sons and his family to a place. Okay. He had no idea that his son was going to be, you know, sold into slavery. He had no idea about all these horrible things. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So when we read this Torah portion, I want us to understand what this is all about. So our focus is going to go on Yaakov now. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started with that. And I want you guys to feel free to ask any questions at any time. This is critical for us in this stage of our development, because if we don't understand the life of Yaakov, then we're not going to understand what is going to be going on in our lives. Okay. The Torah portion for us begins in chapter number 47, verse number 28. Okay. And what we have here, and it's in the Hebrew. Okay. So it begins in verse number 28. Okay. So let me start in 28. All right. Now, if you don't know the Hebrew, don't worry about it. Just look at the English letters underneath. Okay. So what does it say? This is what it says. It says, the beginning says, Waki, and lived, but they don't tell you it's he. This is he. Okay. He lived. That yod right there is a he, and this wa right here is and this chi, chi is life. Okay. Somebody tell me what life is and from a Hebrew perspective, if you remember. Does anybody remember what your chi is? And I've been telling it to you. It's your stomach. Thank you. It's your stomach. Okay. You can't live without a stomach, and a stomach needs to be full. And when a stomach is full, that's life. When a stomach is empty, it represents death, because you can't live without food in your stomach. Okay. So up to this point, I don't know if you guys remember, but Pharaoh had asked Yaakov, he asked him, how old are you when he first got there? And he said, I'm 130 years old. And he said, my life has been very hard, and I've had a lot of evil in my life. That's what he told him. That's what he told Pharaoh. That was his testimony to him. He was 130 years old when he got there. Okay. In our Torah portion, we're going to find out that he was 147 years old now. So he's been living in Mizraim for 17 years. The same exact number of the years that his son was at the time that the last time he saw him. So he has 17 years with him. Then he didn't see him, okay, for a long time. I think he didn't see him for over 20 something years. And then Yah allowed him to have 17 more years with his son, the same amount of time that he had when he was born, up to 17 years. And now he has 17 more years. So the total amount of time that he spent with his son, Yosef, was a total of 34 years. Okay. And that's pretty interesting, you know. That's pretty tough. That's really tough if you think about it. Okay. So he literally only got to see him for 17 years or 34 years total. But between the time of the, you know, they don't declare how much time how old he was when he lost him, but it was enough that impacted his life where he changed him as a person. You know, Yaakov, you know, we like to think that this is a nice Bible story that tells us how happy he was and how he cried when he saw his son. But in the happiness and in the struggle and all up to this point, there was a lot of difficulty, a lot of hardship, and a lot of, you know, I would say resentment because of his sons. You know, that's why he was on Reuven and he was on Yehuda. He was like, no, I'm not letting you guys take my son. Remember, he couldn't be comforted by anybody in his household. So he's been going through literal hell for you know, decades, and living with that. Okay. And so it said he lived in the land of Mitzrayim, right? That's where he lived for 17 years. And the purpose of him being brought there and the family being brought there is for the survival of the people. Okay. And he said he was there for 7 and 10 years. At the age Yaakov was living there, he was 7 years and 40, which is, and then they got right here, Ma'at, and that is 147, which I already told you. Okay. Verse number 29, it says, when he drew near the time for Israel to die. So now it tells us here in two different ways. It tells us first that he recognizes Moshe was told to write this name right here, which is Yaakov. And then later on, he then says this name. So this is the name of the man who struggled and fought. And here's the man of the one who prevailed with Elohim and with men, because that's what his name means. Okay. So now he's 147 years old, and it said it was time for him to die. Okay. Again, we're all going to have to go through this experience, and he knew it was time for him to die. Okay. And so because he understood this, it says that he called, Wayikra, he called to his son. We're reading from right to left. If you don't want to get you confused in Hebrew, we read from right to left. And so I'm reading in this direction right here. Okay. So he called his son. He called Yosef, and he tells him, I'll have to speed it up. And he said to him, he says, if I have matzati, if I found favor in your sight, put your hand, okay, under my thigh and deal with me kindly and truly, and you know, not, please don't bury me in Egypt. So he's asking him to make a promise to him because he knows he's about to die. He knows it. You know, he's 147 years old. Okay. He knows he's about to leave. Okay. In the Hebrew culture, when he asked him to put his hand, this is how it was done. Just like when Abraham asked Eleazar to make a promise to him, he asked him to take his hand and put it under his thigh. Okay. This right here is not necessarily your leg. Okay. It's not your leg. Okay. It's on the inner part of your thigh. Okay. And he's asking him literally, okay, is to put his hand under his private parts. Okay. He's asking him to put his hand underneath his private parts. Okay. Right. His testicles. He's asking him to put his hand underneath his testicles. And then the testicles will be on his hand. And then he would ask him to swear. Okay. So he's swearing upon the life of him, because that's where the life of a human being comes from. So that's something that was very interesting about him swearing. He's swearing upon life. And so he asked him, he said, look, don't leave me here. Don't bury me here. I don't want to be buried. Okay. This speaks to the fact that the Hebrew people believed in burial. Okay. So, people ask all the time about cremation, and, is it legal, or is it according to the Torah? Well, anyone that was burned was literally, exterminated or cursed by Yahweh. Okay. They were cursed if you were burned to death. Like he burned up, Nadav and Avihu. He burned up Korach and the people who came out to want to be the priests. He burned up, the city Jerusalem. He uses fire to burn people up. That's what he does. So in here, the burying is what he's literally asking. So this whole life experience for him now is about what is going to happen after he dies. He knows he's about to die, and he's asking his son to do him a favor. And in verse number 30 says, but please let me lie with my fathers and carry me out of Egypt and again bury me. So the thing is, he wants to know that he's going to swear to him about a burial place. The word burial is mentioned like 5 or 6 times in these last few verses. Okay. One of the things too that was used a lot here was this word about swearing. He asked him to Wayishava, and Shavah here again means to make an oath and to make a promise to him. And so an oath is to swear something, right? But it's also to do something 7 times, or say something 7 times, like what you get from your place called Beersheba. That's a place where Yah wanted to meet with Yitzchak, and he met with Yaakov at this place, at this well of 7, and that's where it was made, where there were 7 lambs that were brought there. Okay, and it was as an oath. Okay, so oath is a big deal. Oath is connected to the number 7, and we know that the 7th day is the Shabbat, right? So the Shabbat again is literally like a symbol and a sign of an oath. An oath is a sign. Okay, so the Shabbat for us is an oath, and when you keep it, you're making an oath to say that Yahweh is the creator of the heavens and the earth. When you keep the Shabbat, you're saying, you're testifying, and you're living up to the oath that Yahweh said for us to live up to. It's an oath that's perpetual from generation to generation, no matter where you live. Okay, so that's the oath. Also, too, we have sworn an oath, and Yah has sworn an oath to us. That's why we're under not only a covenant, right? So we're under a covenant, which is an agreement, okay, that was cut with us, but also part of that covenant is the things that are sworn, an oath, okay? The Holy One of Israel has made and sworn an oath to our fathers, okay? He's made promises and he's made covenants, and he's literally sworn himself, okay? And so every time the Holy One swears himself, he makes sure that he doesn't let his words not be fulfilled, okay? When I speak, and I didn't cover this, but when I speak about Yisrael, what we're talking about, and I did touch on a little bit, is the one who has victory, the one who prevails, okay? The one who's living up to what Yah wants him to live up to, okay? Yaakov, on the other hand, is the one who struggles, okay? That's the one who struggles. He's always struggling. That's why he's wrestling. And it said that he's struggling with the Creator, okay? That's who our struggle is with, okay? So when we say that we're Israel, that's in hopes of us prevailing, okay? When Yah talks about, he says certain things about Yaakov, that you're my servant, and Israel, you're the one I chose. Yah is always making a clear distinction, but they're one and the same. I want to make that clear. Israel and Yaakov is one and the same. And why is this important? Because when you look at the life of Yaakov, you can see the struggles, and then you can match those struggles up to what your life is. Okay. And then you can see that Yah has something in store for us, right, as his people. So Israel, he says, listen, he says, swear to me, and to him he bowed himself to Israel. Okay. And he swore, he bowed his head. After he swore to him, he bowed his head. Israel bowed his head, and he on his bed. And that's the end of that in particular intro, right? Now we're going to get into the part of Jacob blessing, or Yaakov blessing Ephraim and Manasseh. Okay. I'm going to read this in English right quick for us first, and then we'll come back into the Hebrew. So in chapter number 48, it says this, and feel free to ask any questions at any given moment. Genesis 48 says, it says, a while later, someone told Joseph that his father was ill, that he got sick, and he took with him his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. Okay, Manasseh is the oldest, Ephraim is the second oldest. Yaakov is told, here comes your son, Joseph. So Israel gathered himself. So again, you can see right here, again, of Yaakov and then Israel, they're one and the same. Okay. He gathered his strength and he sat up in his bed. Okay. He's an old man. He's 147 years old. And Yaakov said to Joseph, he said, El Shaddai appeared to me. Okay. For those of us who don't know who El Shaddai is a name and a title of the Creator. Okay. And he said, El Shaddai appeared to me at Luz. Okay. That's where he did. And Luz is what they call Bethel. Okay. And when he's talking about this appearance, he's saying that, he appeared to me in the land of Canaan and he blessed me. And it's saying to me that I will make you fruitful and numerous. Okay. That's what I'm going to do for you. So this is what, before his death, he's conveying to his son, not all of his sons, only Joseph. And this is for the purpose of passing on something to his sons and to him. He says, look, the El Shaddai appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan, and he blessed me. Okay. He blessed me by saying what? Saying to me, I will make you fruitful and numerous. So the blessing is being fruitful and numerous. This is what El Shaddai said to him. El means God or power. Okay. Let me get rid of God. Forgive me for that. That's a Greek term. Okay. El means power. Okay. Shaddai means, let me see here. Shaddai. We're going to break Shaddai down for you. Okay. So El is power. Clear everything out for us. And I'm going to break it down. All right. So El is power. Don't forget that. So let's stop calling him God. And this is what he's telling me to, because there's no word, there's a son named God, G-A-D. Okay. His name is not God. Don't even call him that. He's a power of all powers. Shad here means breast. Okay. And the die here means my. Okay. So what is he saying? He's the power, my breast, the power, meaning like when a child cries out for a mother, right, and say she's nursing, and probably the Okotis can attest to this. When a woman hears her child cry and say she's nursing, she begins to lactate. Okay. When a child needs to be comforted, they run up to their mother and they're embraced in the bosom of their mom and they feel safe. Okay. This also has to do with the idea of being the burly one. And when Yahweh calls himself El Shaddai, he's saying, I'm the most powerful one. I'm the most powerful one. I'm like the warrior type. Okay. Meaning I will destroy whoever comes against you. Okay. And we're going to see that in these examples of what he says. Okay. So he's telling his son that El Shaddai appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan, and he blessed me, saying to me, I will make you fruitful and numerous. That's the blessing. Okay. In terms of a descendant, I will. So again, it's I will, meaning El Shaddai, and I will make you a group of peoples. I will make you a group of nations, and I will, okay, give you or give this land, the land of Canaan, to your descendants to possess forever. Okay. So everything that we ever going to talk about is always going to have to do with this idea of this blessing, because he's conferring this onto, this is an inheritance. Okay. So he's letting him know what is the inheritance. This is why I need you to bring me back to the land of Canaan, because that's where I was told that I'm going to make you fruitful and numerous, and I will make you a congregation or a group or assembly of peoples, and I will give you this land to your descendants to possess forever. So that's what we're after. We're after the land forever. Okay. That's what we've been put out of. That's what innocent blood was shed in. That's where all of our blessings came from, is from this land. So now your two sons who were born to you in the land of Egypt before I came to you in Egypt are mine. He didn't ask, well, would you give them to me? He says they're mine. Okay. So now we have what you would call, he's adopting them as his sons. He's telling them, I'm adopting them into the family, into my family, as my sons. He says, Ephraim and Manasseh will be as much as mine as Reuven and Shimon. But in the Hebrew, it said they will be like Reuven and Shimon. Reuven and Shimon are the first and second born of his sons, of his wife Leah. So he's saying, I'm giving their status as adoption in the family. Okay. And then he mentions here Ephraim and Manasseh. Okay. So now what's interesting about this is that he mentions the youngest before he mentions the oldest. He's the youngest. This one right here is the youngest. But his name means what? Does anybody remember what his name means? Ephraim. Okay. Ephraim means, and it comes from Torah. Torah means to be what? You guys know? Joseph said that when he was in the land of Mizraim, Yahweh had made him fruitful. That's what his name means, to be fruitful. Manasseh name means to forget. And forget what? He said, he made me to forget my toil, and he made me forget my family of what they did to me. That's what his name means. Okay. So did Grandpa Yaakov know what their names meant? Huh? Yes, he did know what their names meant. Okay. So he said, they'll be just as much mine as Reuven. They'll be like Shimon and Reuven and Shimon. He said, the children born to you or after them will be yours. But for the purpose of inheritance, they are to be counted with their older brothers. So now he's making them part of the 12 tribes. Okay. That's who he's making them part of the 12 tribes. These two individuals right here are now included on the inheritance. That's what they're included on. Okay. But he just can't say this. He just can't say it. He has to ask permission. And guess who he has to go to? We'll read. So the children born to you after them, because he's telling them, if you had any other sons outside of these people, they're going to be yours. Okay. But for the purpose of inheritance, they are to be counted with their brothers, their older brothers. So again, he's letting them know, say if Joseph had other sons or, sons and daughters, those sons and daughters will receive their inheritance rights from these two individuals, because they're the ones who go into the family that allow Joseph's other children, if he did have some, to come into this family. You understand? Does anyone have any questions? I'll say it one more time. Joseph had Manasseh and Ephraim. Okay. Yaakov wants to adopt them into his family. These two guys here. Okay. And he told him, he said, any children born to you after them, after who? After these two guys, after these two people here, will be yours. Those are your children. Okay. But for the purposes of inheritance, they are, who is the them? The children after them, these children, they are to be counted with their older brothers. These are the older brothers he's talking about. So if Joseph had other kids, he's saying if they wanted any inheritance rights, they're going to have to go through these two particular families to even come in and get it. But they'll never be named like, hey, say another's name was, Yanni. Yanni can't come in. It's only going to be Ephraim and Manasseh. You understand? So now, as for me, and he's going here and he's saying this, he says, now as for me, when I came from Padan is Aram, where he left Laban, he said, Rachel died suddenly as we were traveling through the land of Canaan, and while we were still some distance from Ephrat, so I buried her on the way to Ephrat, known as Bethlehem. Okay, so he buried her on the way to Ephrat. Okay, so she's buried on a road. She didn't get a chance to go into the burial place like Leah and Yaakov and Yitzchak and Rivka and Sarah and Abraham. Those 6 individuals are all buried in the cave that Abraham bought. Okay, so then Israel noticed that Joseph's sons asked. He says, "Who are these?" Joseph answered his father, and he said, "These are my sons, whom Elohim has given to me." And Yaakov replied, "I want you to bring them here to me so that I can bless them." So now Israel's eyes were dim with age, so he could not see. So he had a blurry vision, so he couldn't see him. He didn't know who he's asking, who are these? So Yosef brought his sons near to him, and he kissed them, and he embraced them. That's what Yaakov did to them. Israel said to Yosef, "I've never expected to see even you again." Okay, to see even you again, but Elohim has allowed me to see your children too. Okay, so Yosef brought them out from his legs and prostrated himself on the ground. And then Yosef took them both, Ephraim in his right hand and toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh in his left hand towards Israel's right hand. So they're just the opposite. So Yosef put his sons in the proper place so they can receive this blessing. Okay. And this is something that we need to understand, that this is the way that blessings are transferred from a father to a son and to their children. And generally, the blessing will come at the right hand of the father, because the right hand represents the one who stands by my side, the one of my strength, because more often the people who were right-handed were the people that was their dominant hand. Okay. So Ephraim was going towards Israel's left hand because he was the youngest, and Manasseh was on the left hand of Joseph, which is going towards the right hand of Israel. And so, but Israel put out his right hand and he laid it on the head of the younger one. So what he did was he switched his hands, which is Ephraim, and he put his left hand on the head of Manasseh. He intentionally crossed his hands, even though Manasseh was the firstborn. So this is what happened. Okay. Then he blessed Yosef. So now we understanding something. He says, "I'm going to bless Yosef." Okay. You understand? He's conferring the blessing of Yosef onto the head of Ephraim and onto the head of Manasseh. Okay. So literally the house of Yosef was split into 2 houses. Literally. Okay. Right. So this is why, like, for example, you said, well, there's 12 tribes of Israel, right? So the first one is Reuben, the second one is Shimon, the third one is Levi, the fourth one is Yehuda, the fifth one, I believe, is Issachar. And then we got, I don't know their order, forgive me. I know we got Zebulun, and then we got Dan, and we got Dan, and we got Gad, and we got Asher, got Naphtali, and then we got Benjamin, and then now we have Ephraim, and now we have Manasseh. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Right? So how's that possible? Well, I want you guys to remember, why is it 12 instead of 13 if there's 13 sons? Somebody tell me if you know. There's one tribe that the Holy One of Israel said, I'm going to call them out from the rest of you, and they're not going to be accounted among the tribes. They won't get any inheritance land.
That's Levy.
Yeah. Yes, because I'm going to use the Lewiyim to do something for me. What does their name mean?
Join.
Join.
To join.
Yeah, join. Okay, so I'm going to use them to join myself to the children of Israel. Okay, so they're going to be the mediator between me and them, because I want to be close to them, but if I am close to them, I might have to kill every one of them because I know how they are. I know that those personalities, and I know that I need someone. And this group that I'm going to choose, they're going to be down for me. They're literally going to be down for me. When I tell them, hey, are you on my side? They're going to step across the line. They're going to get their swords. They're going to kill the people that offended me. They're the kind of people that if someone brought in another woman from another place and worshiped another god, that they will go in and stab them to death with a spear in a tent, and I will bless him, and his name is Pincus. And I will give him a eternal covenant of peace, because he went and he did that for me, because he had my zeal. He was very zealous for me. He's very zealous and jealous for me. Okay, so by them adding this, okay, and at this time, Yaakov per se did not know that Lewi was going to be the one that Yah was going to call out. He didn't know that. Okay, and so then he blessed Yosef, and he said this to, and he's blessing Yosef, and he says, the Elohim in whose presence my fathers Abraham and Yitzchak lived. Okay, so they got that word live right there, but when you look in the Hebrew, it's called that they walked. Okay, they walked. Okay, and it's not that they just walked, they caused themselves to walk. So it's a reflexive, meaning they're the ones who caused themselves to do this action, which is very interesting. Okay, so they walked in Yahweh's ways. They caused themselves to walk in Yahweh's ways. Okay, and then Elohim has been my own shepherd. So now he's testifying to the greatness of Yah by saying he's been my own shepherd all my life. Okay, long to this day. So his life, he's saying that me and Yah, or me and El Shaddai, has have a relationship. And I'm letting you know this because you haven't seen each other, and I've been here for 17 years, and now it's the end of my time. I want to convey this information to you because it's vital. I have to give this to you. So every generation is supposed to receive something from the previous generation. And this is what Yah says to us, that we are supposed to teach our children about his ways. And when your child asks you something, you're supposed to be able to tell them what Yahweh has done for them, right? So that's how you confer these blessings onto your children, is by telling them about your experience with the Holy One of Israel. And then if you notice something here, he says the angel who rescued me. So now we get into some English problems, because if you read this, it has a comma after it, and it would let you know a comma means that it's continuing. And then it says the angel. So now he mentions Elohim, Elohim, and then he says the angel who has rescued me from all harm. Bless these boys. Okay. Right. So if you read this, you would think that Elohim is an angel. If you read it in English, you would think Yahweh was the Malach who wrestled with Yaakov. You would think that Yahweh is a Malach. You would think that he's a messenger. That's what you would think. You would think that he's an angel, and that's why they call him the angel of the Lord. And they say that is, Yeshua or whoever. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish off this blessing here. May they remember who I am and what I stand for. And likewise, my fathers, okay, So now he's asking him to, may they remember who I am and what I stand for. And likewise, my fathers, Abraham and Yitzchak, and who they were and what they stood for. And may they grow into a teeming multitudes on the earth. And then that's the end of the blessing. Okay. We're going to stop right there with that part of it. We have about 15 minutes. I'm going to use the next 15 minutes to show you that Yahweh is not a Malach. Okay. I'm going to show you that when he asks for this Malach, because right now he's blessing Yosef through his sons, and he says that Malach, who rescued me from all harm, bless these boys. So let's find out who this Malach is. Okay. Let's find out, is it Elohim or is it JC or who is it? Let's find out who it is. Okay. So I'm going to accelerate a little bit, and feel free to ask any questions because that's what this is about. All right. So this is the proper spelling in the Hebrew tongue. The letters here, you'll see it. It's called a Malach. Okay. So we got the Mem. Let me see. We got the Mem right here, and then we got that and the Kaf. Okay. The two letters really are to tell you the walk is this. That's how you say lock. Okay. Usually on the end of the word, it would take this form. This is what they call a final. And the reason why it's a final is because it's on the end of the word. Outside of it not being a final, it's this letter, a Kaf. And that Kaf right there is the palm of the hand. Okay. This right here is the staff. Okay. So it's the staff that's in the palm of the hand. It's carried by the palm of the hand. That's what it is. And in the Mem, from a grammatical standpoint and from a meaning of what its letter means, it's a Mem, and has to do with what? It has to do with water. And water has a grammatical preposition called from. So when you look at this, it means from walking. Okay, that's what it means. From walking. Anybody that is walking or from walking, the person who's walking is walking for someone or going to somewhere. And usually a person who's walking for someone and going to somewhere is delivering what they call a message. Okay. So any messenger in which a person has a message is called a messenger. That's what a Malach is. A Malach is a messenger. A Malach is one who walks from walking for someone to somewhere to deliver a message. Okay. So the creator is not a messenger. Messengers, and this is where you get your word, and I'll spell it out for you in English, and you can see some of the difference. Okay, so it's this first letter right here is an M. This one is an L. This one is an A, and this one here is identified as A, and this one is a K. Okay, so I'm gonna reverse it, and I'm gonna go M, A, L, A, K. Okay, Malach. Everybody got that? Okay, so the same word, if I switch out the verbs and I put an E in here, or vowels in here, I would put it as Melech. And what's a Melech? What's a Melech? You might take a guess? A Melech is a king. Okay, that's how you say king. Melech. Okay, a Malach, they call it an angel, but it's just, don't call it an angel. Call it what it is. It's a messenger. Okay. Here's my son's name. His name is Malaki. Malak, that means to walk, right? Malak, and then ki, that means my. That means my messenger. Okay. When I named him, I didn't know. I just thought his name was cool. I thought it was, an angel, like I was a Christian. But I didn't recognize that the Holy One of Israel wanted me to name him this because it represents what I am. I'm a messenger for Yahweh. My daughter's name is Michaela. Kayla. I named her that because I didn't know that her name's Mikaela, but it means one who is like El. Okay. And I'll break that out to you as well. And why did I name her that? Because I wanted her to be like him, but I didn't recognize that the parents named the children because of what the parents are going through. So who is like Yah, right? My messenger. Just great things. You name your children. And then I got the last one named McKenna, meaning my joy, right? Her name happiness. But anyway, a Malak is a messenger and a Melech is a king, okay? So you would often too see in the Torah where Moshe sent Malachim. Im here means plural. That's like a S, in English. So their Malachim is just messengers. That's all it is, okay? Some are terrestrial, they can leave and jump in fire and everything. That's why I have these wings and I have this fire. There's a whole bunch of messengers are different too. The Malaks are different. They got what they call the Malachim, which are the messengers. They're heavenly messengers, but they're going to be earthly messengers. Then we got the Seraphim. The Seraphim are the fiery ones. Okay, they're the fiery ones that are before Yahweh's throne. Then we have the Cherubim. Okay, these are the ones that are the guardians on Yahweh's Ark of the Covenant. Okay, then we got the what? Kodashim, which are the holy ones. Okay, which you and I are the ones that they call the Kodashim, the holy ones. Right? Then you got the Talmudim. We're the ones who are the students, the learners of the one who are being taught. So you got, Malachim, Seraphim, Cheruvim, Kodashim, Talmudim, the Ophanim, right? So you have all these M's on the end, okay? So Yah has a host of a whole bunch of beings, and some are supernatural. And even if you want to be honest, we're supernatural in a sense as well because of us being made in the image that we're made in. We're not just no ordinary. We are the pinnacle of everything that Yah has ever made. We're the thing that beholds and holds the qualities of the Holy One of Israel. Not that He's made in our image, but we're made in His. We're made in His character. Okay. The image and the image is to represent. We're representatives of Him on earth, and so our responsibility is. That's why it's so great for us. Okay, it's because of who we are. He also calls us His holy ones and anointed ones because we are the anointed ones. Okay. So a Malak is one. The action is to walk, and they bring a message. Okay. The Lamed is a picture of the shepherd's staff, and the Kaf again. And if you don't know Hebrew, that's okay. Just to show you what the Lamed is. The Lamed is the name of the letter. And the Kaf right here is this one right here. And at the end of the word, they had a final like that. Okay. And so it's a picture of the palm of the hand, and it combining means the staff and the palm. And so usually a nomad traveled on foot with the staff in his hand to provide support in walking, as well as a weapon to defend against predators or thieves. Okay. So that's what it was for. All right. And so that's what that meaning and that definition is. That's what the staff usually means tribe. It's usually in your hand. It's usually for, prouding or, pushing or pulling. It was something that, it was an identification marker, is used for support. So there's all different types of things. And even the leaders had staffs in their hand with their names on their staffs. Okay. But remember in Genesis 32 and 24, it said this. It said this, which was interesting. It said that Yaakov was left alone. Now this is the time where he wrestled. And it said, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of day. Now, when he saw that he did not prevail against him, he touched the socket of his hip, and the socket of Yaakov's hip was out of joint. And as he wrestled with him, and he said, "Let me go." This is what this so-called man M-A-N said, and that's exactly what it is. And he said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. Now, I want you to understand one of the reasons why I'm going back here. I'm going here because I want to show you that Yaakov had asked, he said, I won't let you go until you bless me. So when Yaakov is back in our Torah portion where he says, I'm going to bless you, I'm going to bless you now, Yosef. Remember, he said, may the angel who's been guarding me, may he be the one to bless you. Okay. So he's not necessarily, Elohim himself is using a malach to bless Yaakov. Okay. Listen to this very carefully. He said, I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. And the man said to him, what is your name? Ma ACHI'KA, right? And he says, Yaakov, that's my name. And so he said, your name shall no longer be called Yaakov, but Yisrael, for you have struggled with Elohim and with men, okay, and have prevailed. Now, I don't really like this translation here because it really should be, he struggled with Elohim, okay, and they got this with here. That's not what it says in Hebrew, okay? It doesn't say that. It says that you struggled with Elohim and with men you have prevailed. So when we read it, we think that his struggle is with Elohim and his struggle is with men. And that's not true. The reality of this text is that he's only struggled with Elohim, and men he has prevailed over, that he's going to prevail. Okay. He's not struggling with man. His struggle is with the creator. That's who his struggle is. So this idea, okay, here is saying that he's going to prevail over his circumstances. And so Yaakov asks, he says, tell me your name. This is what he's asking this man. And he says, I pray, just tell me your name. And he said, what is it that you ask about my name? Why are you asking about my name? And then he blessed him there. Okay. So he didn't get his name, did he? He didn't give him a name, right? But remember, he's the one who blessed him. So let's go to Genesis 45 and 18. And in 45:18, which is in our Torah portion, that's where we are. And then he blessed Joseph and he said, Elohim, before whom my fathers, Abraham and Yitzchak, walked. This is a proper, like I said, they walked. They caused themselves to walk. Elohim, who has fed me all my life. See, that's one of the things that I want us to really understand, that he's talking about feeding, because remember when he left his family, he said, I'll let you be my Elohim if you give me food and you give me clothing. Then you will be my Elohim. As a matter of fact, I will vow to you 10% of everything. So that's where that idea of the 10% vow came from, of what they call the tithes and offerings. It became because our father had made a vow to Yah and said, if you take care of me until I get, from the rest of my days, then I will always give you 10% of everything I have. Okay. So that's the connection between being fed and the 10%. So that's why your tithes are food and fruit and vegetables and all those sorts of things. And so Yah has given him, he said, if you feed me, you'll be my Elohim. And that's in a whole nother, that's in chapter number 32 of Genesis. If you want to read that, it's in chapter number 32 where he makes that vow of the 10% for the tithe. You can read it right there. Was it in 28? No, excuse me, 28. 32 is where he had his wrestling match. 28 is when he had the dream on the ladder, and he said Elohim was here, and he said, if you would take care of me. It says chapter number 28. Okay, so let's focus. The blessing was from the Malach, but now he's mentioning here, he says the Malach who's redeeming me from all evil. So again, you would think, is this, and I changed this because it says in the Bible Hub, redeemed, mean perfect, but it's not. It's an actual ing. It's a participle, meaning it's a continuation. So the Malach who's been redeeming me from all evil, he asked him to bless the lads. It wasn't Elohim. He's asking the Elohim to send the Malach to bless these boys. Yah is not a Malak, and I'll prove it to you. Just bear with me. Let my name, Yisrael, be named upon them. So, who put this name Israel upon him? Who changed his name?
Was it the Moloch?
It was the Malak. The text says that it was a man, but the Malaks come like they did when they visited Samson's parents. It came as in form of a man. Okay. But I'm going to give you further evidence of this. So he's asking this Malak who has been redeeming me from all evil. The Malak is the one that showed up and that he wrestled with, that he said, and he was left alone. He wrestled with the man until the break of the day. Now he saw that he did not prevail against him. He touched the socket of his hip, and the socket of Yaakov's hip was out of joint when he wrestled him. And he said, let me go, for the day breaks. But he said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. Okay. So he had tenacity. He had a strong grip on him. He said to him, what is your name? He said, Yaakov. Okay. He said, your name shall no longer be called Yaakov, but Yisrael, for you have struggled with Elohim and with men and prevailed. Okay. And then Yaakov asked, tell me your name, I pray, please. He literally, this was like a struggle. And he said, what is it that you ask about my name? And he blessed him there. Okay. So this man that they tell us here has put the name of Israel on Yaakov. So Yaakov is going to this Malak that he understands now that the Malak that he's talking about is the individual who had the power to convey the name onto him. You guys understand what I'm saying to you? Tell me if you're lost. The Malak who gave Israel his name is the one that Yaakov is asking right now. He's asking this Malak. He says, the Malak who's redeeming me, that is presently. He's asking him from all evil, bless the lads. That's who he's asking to bless. He says, let my name, Yisrael, be upon them. So he's going back to the one that placed his name on him and asking him, since you're the one who placed my name on me, Israel, I need you to place my name upon them now. And the name of my father, Abraham and Yitzchak. So I'm not asking you just to put my name on them. I'm asking you to put in the name of my fathers on them and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. Because these names of these fathers right here, the Holy One of Israel promised them to make them numerous, okay, as the sand of the sea, the stars in the sand, okay? So he's asking this Malak to bless the lads and to confirm the name that you gave me. I need you to put that name on them. So the one who he wrestled with, he understands that he's the messenger for Yahweh, and he's the one who's been delivering him from all the troubles that he's been having. This has been the one who's been visiting him. Okay. And he says, let them grow into a multitude. Now, let me prove to you that this Malak is not the creator. Exodus 23:20 says this, behold, I send a Malak, which is a messenger before you, to keep you in the way and bring you into the place which I have prepared. This is the Creator speaking to Moshe. He says, beware of him and obey his voice. Do not provoke him, for he will not pardon your transgressions. For my name is in him. Okay. That's in Exodus chapter number 23, verses 20 through 23. So the Creator, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, is speaking here. And he says, I will send a Malak, a messenger. I'm going to send a messenger before you, okay, a messenger, to keep you, to guard you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I prepared. So Yah's not going. He's sending a Malak. And he says, beware of him, who? The Moloch, and obey his voice. Whose voice? The Moloch's voice. Do not provoke him. He will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Some people say that's JC. Well, let's continue. Any questions? So when Yah talks about sending a Moloch, so it tells you right here, he's not sending himself, he's sending a messenger. Okay. He has a own special Moloch for him that goes and delivers his message, because Yah is what? What role does Yahweh hold in the universe? We said every time I open the Torah blessing, he is the king. And the king of the universe will send his messengers. Remember, he'll send his messengers to handle his business. He doesn't need to come. He'll send somebody on his behalf. Okay, listen to this. But if you indeed obey his voice and do all that I speak, meaning the Moloch is going to convey the message that Yahweh told him to say, then I will be an enemy to your enemies and an adversary to your adversaries. For my Moloch, Yah's not divided. He's not a Moloch. My Moloch will go ahead of you and bring you into the Amorites, the Kittites, the Perizzites, the Canaanites, the Kiwites, the Kivites, and the Jebusites, and I will cut them off. Now, do you guys remember the story in Joshua where he saw a Moloch with a sword and asked him, or the captain of hosts, and asked him, are you here for me? Are you here for us, or you're against us? And he said, I'm here for you. Okay. That's not Yahweh. Yah has a Moloch. Okay. So who? Okay. The word me. Okay. And I'm going to write it here in English. Let me see. In the Hebrew, the word, they don't have question marks like, punctuation marks. They use words. So this word right here is called me, M-I, me, like a mit. Okay, just take the T off as me. Okay, that's why they yod is an I sound. Me, which is represented by this right here. That means who? So the question I have for you is me. Me what? I'm asking you a question. Me. And what's the me? Who is this Moloch? Who do you guys think it is? Remember, he wouldn't give his name out, remember? He wouldn't give his name. But I'll ask you, who is like? Okay, so in Hebrew, the word for like is this preposition called ka. Ka. Okay? Ka. Okay, so we got Micah, like the prophet, Micah, a Makai, okay? Micah. So who is like? So we got who, and then we got like. Who like? What we throw in is, so it can make sense. Who is like Yah? Who's like Yah? That's the question, right? Because we want to find out who is like him. Anybody want to take a guess? Micah what? Okay. And this is how you say Elohim, El. What's the first word? Me? Ka? What? El. Who is it? Who?
Mikael.
It's Mikael. Yeah. Mikael, like my daughter, Mikaela. Okay, I put Mikaela there. It's not Mikaela, it's Mikael. Mikael. And I just put an A on there for her because she's feminine, right? Mikaela. That's her name, but his name is Mikael. Mikael. That is Yahweh's messenger. That is the one who Yahweh uses for Israel. But you need proof, right? Here's the proof. So this is his name, Mikael. Mikael. So now you can see that a person's name has meaning and substance. This is who and then is, and then like, and then El. Who is like El? Guess who's like El? Mikhail. Or who is like power? Who's like the powerful one? That he says, if you don't do what he says, because my name is in him, then I can end you. He'll destroy you. So it's Mikhail. That's the one who is conveying, who has the power to give a message. He's the one. Now check this out. Daniel chapter number 12, 1-3 says what? It says, at that time, Mikhail shall stand up. What is he? He's the great prince who stands watch over who? He stands watch over the sons of your people, and they're talking about Yisrael. He's talking to Daniel right now. So he's a prince. He's the great prince of the who? Of the king. And he stands watch over, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never ever since there was a nation, even to that time. And at that time, your people shall be delivered because of who? Because of Mikhail. Everyone who's found written in the book, and of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some in everlasting life and some in the shame of everlasting contempt. Those who are wise will shine like the brightness of the firmament, like stars. Okay. Mikhail. Remember, and you can look in the story of Samson, and there was a Moloch there, and he asked him, what is your name? He didn't give him a name. He gave him an expression. Wonderful. See? So Yah has messengers. That's my point. Okay. So Yaakov is asking this Moloch to bless him. He's asking this Moloch. Where is it at? Right here. He's not asking Elohim. He's asking the Moloch who rescued me from all harm. Bless these boys. Bless them, meaning give them what you gave me. You're the one who was conferred power to put, put my name on me. Now take that same name that you gave me, and I need you to put it on these two boys. And may they remember who I am and what I stand for. And likewise, my fathers, Abraham and Yitzchak, okay, who they were and what they stood for. And may they grow into a teeming multitudes on the earth. Number 17, when Joseph saw that his father was laying his right hand on Ephraim's head, it displeased him, and he lifted up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head and placed it instead on Manasseh's head. And Joseph said to his father, don't do it that way, my father. This is the one who's the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head. He was angry when he said this. But the father refused and said, I know that. Son, my son, I know it. He too will become a people, and he too will be great. Nevertheless, his younger brother will be greater than he, and his descendants will grow into many nations. Okay. His descendants will not grow into many nations. His descendants are going to be in many nations. Okay. So this is where people get it mixed up. They're thinking that Manasseh is going to, populate the earth with his people. No, he's going to go in. Of course, he's going to mix with them. But Manasseh himself, the blood of Manasseh, he's going to be mixed with them, but he's not creating nations. He's not creating a whole bunch of different nations, because then that would mean that they're included with Israel, and they're not. So then he added this blessing on them that day. Israel will speak in your name. Okay. Israel will speak of you in their own blessings, Now he tells about the plurality of them, saying, may Elohim make you like Ephraim and Manasseh. Thus he put Ephraim ahead of Manasseh. Israel then said to Joseph, see that I am dying. Elohim will be with you and will bring you back to the land of your ancestors. Okay. Now here, one last point before we close. When he says he will be with you and he will bring you back to the land of your ancestors, you and I would think this is singular, thinking he's talking to Joseph. Okay. Because it said, then he said to Joseph. Well, this is a problem because he's not talking in singular, he's talking in plural. the plurality of Joseph, meaning all of Ephraim and Manasseh and their families. Remember the blessings on Joseph, which is conferred upon Ephraim and Manasseh. The reason why his father knew to take his hand and put it on this boy instead of this one, because he knows his name means forget. And he knows that his name means fruitful. So which one, if Yah promised to be fruitful, which one would you put the blessing upon? The one who will forget or the one who will be fruitful? So that's why he said, I know, my son, I know. Because it was already shown to him the one who is going to be fruitful. And the one who is fruitful is the one called Ephraim, because his name means to be fruitful. And that's your study tonight. I hope you were able to get something from this or get a deeper understanding. When I saw the Malak and I saw the understanding that the Holy One of Israel said, and according to the language, that this in particular Malak is the one who's conferring this blessing. That's why he called upon that Malak and said, hey, the Malak who's been redeeming me, Yah's not a Malak. Yah is a king, and he has messengers, and he sends out his messengers to deliver a message. Yah does not do that. Now, will he appear? Yes, but how does he appear? See, that's the thing. A lot of people think even when you think about the fire in the bush when Moshe, it was the Malak of Yahweh that was in that fire. It was the Malak of Yahweh who jumped into the fire with Samson's parents. Is the Malak of Yahweh who showed up to Joshua. See, Yah comes to us in especially prophets and in dreams and visions. Okay. And he didn't show up. And when they talk about his appearing to men, he never appeared to them face to face, like they would say. They're talking about their experience that they had with the Holy One. They knew that this messenger was from Yahweh. See, the focus is not on what's the name. The reason why the messenger didn't give his name is because his name is not important. His name, he's not there on behalf to give Yaakov a blessing in his name. Why are you asking about my name? Because they're not important. They know that they're not important. They understand what their job is and responsibility. So what can you and I surmise or take away from this tonight? Understand a few things. Number one, the blessing is conveyed and conferred from the Father to the sons, to the Father to the sons, to the sons to the Father, and all this, okay? And the inheritance and the blessing that you and I have has been conferred upon us, okay, based on the relationship that our fathers had with the Creator, okay? What's different about our relationship between Yahweh and Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov is that the Creator has never, ever revealed himself to them in the way that he revealed himself to the children of Israel. Okay, and we're going to go over that on Thursday. He's never, not one time, has he ever revealed himself to the children of Israel as El Shaddai. Never. And that's important to know. So he reveals himself to Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov as El Shaddai, but he never reveals himself to the children of Israel as El Shaddai. He reveals himself to Israel as Yohewaheh. And we'll talk more about that. I'm so excited about it. I could keep you here all night, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to maintain it. So we want to talk about that later on this week. We also want to talk about, we talked tonight about the messenger, but I also want you to know that you and yourselves are messengers. The moment that you decided to walk with the Holy One of Israel and to go on this journey with him, that's the moment you put your staff in your hand. That's the moment that you took up your staff and you begin to walk. You lek lekah, like he told our father Abraham. The moment that you left your family to walk with him is when you decided to be a messenger of Yahweh's. That's why if you read the book of Malachi, he talks about, those who have respect unto my name, I will spare them when the day of my judgment comes and the time of me to make my jewels. I remember that they had fear and respect and greatness towards my name. I'll spare them like a man spares his own son. So you and I are messengers, and how we live our lives and the way, because that's what walking is. We're delivering a message and we're walking on behalf of someone else. And so when you pick up that staff and you begin to walk, you then have to understand that, okay, the journey is long and it's not comfortable. And it doesn't seem like, it's kind of like how Jonah felt, is it Why do it and why go? They're going to do what they want to do anyway. And Yah's telling us, well, whatever I told you to do, I'm just asking you to do it. I'm not looking for you to do anything except for do what I told you. You know, that's all. That's what a messenger does. They're not there to make a name for themselves. They're not there to express anything about themselves. They have to be able to glorify the Holy One of Israel. And so what he's telling us is that your lives, now that you've decided to walk for me, then you have to walk for me. And that means that it's going to be more of me and less of you. And whatever message that does come out your mouth has to be a message that glorifies me and has to be something that brings honor to me. So he wants us to think about that this week, and because it talks about how Yaakov lived, right? And then he is going to come to his end. And at the end of his life, he's able to confer the promise and the blessing, So I hope you guys got something from this tonight. I enjoyed the study, and I'm looking forward to seeing you later on this week on Yom Kamishi, which is the 5th day of the week. Anybody have any questions or concerns or statements, contributions?